If you're someone who is really motivated and wants to be successful, but otherwise has trouble taking the first step sometimes and getting started on a new project, maybe there's a touch of ADHD in play, then I can almost guarantee in the past 6 months, you have probably researched like 10 different side hustles. And in each case, you have probably come across some random guru that lives in like some corner of the internet who tries to insist that their way of making money is the only way. And what I sort of want to share is that that's not at all the case. And if we break it down on a first principles standpoint, we can understand that, okay, if we want to make money, then we either need to exchange a product or a service in return for that income. And products can be a little bit tricky sometimes because they require us to outlay a certain amount of capital in order to receive inventory, and then we have to sell through that inventory. So often I would recommend starting with a service. Now, a service means that we're ultimately going to probably need to learn a new skill in order to offer that to different businesses that we work with. And so when we're picking a skill that we're going to learn, we want to make sure that it's something we can learn in a matter of a couple of weeks so that we can really get started as soon as possible. And then there are 3 other criteria that are really important to keep in mind when we're picking this side hustle, right? We want to make sure that the skill we're picking is super in demand. We also want to make sure that it is high ticket, meaning that the cost of our services is going to be, thousands of dollars basically every time that we plug into a business and work with a client. And we want to make sure that it offers a certain optionality where we're not pigeonholed or stuck within a given vertical, and we can work with all different types of businesses and business owners. When we're picking this new skill that we're going to learn so that we can then offer it as a service, it's also really important to keep in mind that we want to pick something that is naturally interesting to us. We want to make sure that it's going to be exciting and something that we enjoy doing, because that is going to make us so much more effective in our day-to-day. And we also want to try and pick something that naturally aligns with what we are already good at, because that is going to make us more effective, but it's also going to make it much easier and more exciting for us to learn this new thing and to continue learning it, even as we start working with our first, second, and third clients. So for me, the skill set that I actually chose when I first got started on my side hustle journey, and it's funny to think that this was like 10 months ago because the time has absolutely flown by, I decided that I was going to do no-code automation, which might sound like a handful of words, but let's break it down. So I am sort of a creative type by nature, meaning that what I really enjoy doing is identifying a problem and then thinking through it and trying to come up with a solution that might be non-obvious. And so with the work that I do as a consultant, I will work very closely with a business owner. Let's say it's a lawyer who will bring me in and say, hey, every time we onboard a new client, we want to make sure that we're sending out a retainer document, or that we're signing an NDA, or that we're gathering a bunch of documents. And so then what I will do after sitting with this business owner is turn around and say, okay, and I'll draw out a system, like a set of procedures that we want to follow in order to accomplish the thing that we're there to do. And then at that point, once I understand what the system is supposed to look like, I will use a bunch of no-code tools like Make.com or Zapier or Airtable in order to implement the idea that I have come up with. And naturally what tends to happen is that once we set up one automation for a business owner, they will turn around and be like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that this was possible. Now I want you to focus on my sales funnel or on our operations or help our key HR person with this thing. It just seems like the work never really ends, and our clients tend to come back month over month over month. And so beyond just actually doing the work, one of the things that I enjoy most about consulting and automation consulting is that every time I work with a given business owner, I am getting to they're basically spilling all of the beans. They're sharing all of the secrets with me about their business model and the way that they make money, the areas that they identify day to day where there's friction, and I absolutely love that. And if you are interested in learning no-code automation, I actually teach a class that's totally free, and I do it live. I'm doing one this week, and I break down all of the ins and outs, like the X's and O's of how I run my business. And it's just like a really great opportunity for me to connect with people and share my story and the way that I got started and the way that I find clients and all of that good stuff. Remember, there were 3 main criteria that we talked about that we want to focus on when we're choosing our side hustle. And the first one is we want to make sure there is a lot of demand for the skill that we are going to be learning. And what we mean by that is we want to make sure that there isn't a saturated market of people who are looking. So consider that when a business is looking for, let's say, a copywriter or a video editor, there are a ton of people who know that skill and who offer that readily. And so if we choose to go down one of those roads, maybe that is a skill set that's well suited for us. But we want to make sure that we're able to do it in a way where we're not going to be competing with hundreds of other people, because it just makes our lives a little bit more challenging. It's harder to close deals, it's harder to find new clients, it's harder to retain new clients, because at any point they might decide, hey, there's so many people doing this, I'll find a cheaper option and I'll go with them. So demand is really important. The second big thing that we discussed is we want to make sure that our skill set is high value, meaning we want to make sure that every single deal that we close is going to be worth ideally thousands of dollars. And in my case, the work that I do as an automation consultant is really high ticket. And what I mean by that is, in some cases we'll work on a $5,000 retainer, in some cases we'll work on a $25,000 retainer. It all depends, but the reason we're able to charge that much for the skill set that we have is because whenever we work with a client, we are focused on driving revenue into their business or creating a meaningful amount of operational leverage. And when we do one of those two things, that means that we are creating more value than the cost of our services. So for instance, imagine that we are working with a CPA, an accountant, and every time that that accountant, let's say, onboards a new client, they typically spend, I don't know, let's say 5 hours managing that workflow. If they onboard 4 clients a week, that would be 20 hours per week. Maybe that number is a little bit big. Let's say 20 hours per month, right, that we're saving this business by handling their onboarding. If they bill $300 an hour, let's say, and they would otherwise be trading 20 hours in order to do this onboarding, well, that's $6,000 in value creation that we are able to offer them. And so if we charge them $3,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000 for the services that we're providing by building out this workflow, then net, they are going to be making money or saving money by way of bringing us in and working with us. And so we want to find a skill set where that dynamic is very, very present, right? With all the work that we do, we know that we are creating more value than the cost of our services. Whenever we do that, then we are golden, because it means that a client will be naturally incentivized to keep us around and to continue working with us month over month over month. And so it actually becomes more important not to go out and find new clients, but just to retain the ones that we already have. And not having to be worried about finding new clients frequently or every month or every 2 months, it's an absolute luxury. And when we are just getting started, what's so exciting is that we have all of these opportunities available to us. We could choose to go down any number of different paths, and that's where we want to just keep these things in mind, because it can make our lives so much better if we choose the right thing. And the third big criteria that we want to keep in mind is we want to make sure that whatever we're doing affords us a certain optionality. And what I mean by that is we're not going to be stuck working with just accountants or just lawyers or just plumbers. We want to be able to service a very wide range of different business owners. That way, if something happens in the real estate market, let's say, and we were just niched all the way down and we were only able to work with real estate businesses, well, real estate's a big enough market that we probably don't need to worry about it. Let's say that we were only focused on working with trucking companies. Now, that might seem super random, but if something happened to the trucking industry, then all of a sudden the skill set that we were able to offer would otherwise not be very in demand, right? And we kind of put us back at square one, where we might all of a sudden have to look around and pick up a new skill set, start offering a new service. I think the real way for you to find the right side hustle is to sit down for a moment without your phone or your computer or anything like that, no distractions, and have an intellectually honest sort of dialogue with yourself about what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, where your weaknesses are, what you want out of this. Do you want to make $5,000 relatively passively? Are you looking to maybe work really hard and make $25,000, $30,000, $50,000? You are ultimately going to have to make certain decisions, and these decisions are really important because when you're just getting started, it can ultimately dictate, based on the skill set that you choose to learn, the outcome. And that's just by way of determining what the market conditions look like for this skill set in the market for labor that you're now entering, what businesses are willing to pay for that service, like all of these good things. And again, for me, when I was first getting started, I knew that I wanted to do something creative that naturally aligned with what I enjoyed doing. And I also knew that I wanted access to high net worth individuals. I wanted to be working for people who truthfully inspire me because they, in their own right, are successful business owners that are managing and operating these multi-million-dollar companies. And so by getting to work directly with these business owners, like I'm on their calendar, they start to see me as someone who is a problem solver, someone who is really good at executing, someone who prioritizes, like, just getting stuff done. And in that way, I've built up all of these relationships with, again, these high net worth business operators. And that just really makes me excited. Not even for the immediate work that I'm doing. I mean, I do love doing automation consulting, but beyond that, I now have this network of people that, let's say I go and I come up with an idea for a business and I need to raise some money and I'm doing a friends and family or a seed round. All of a sudden I have all of these connections, these relationships with people that I can tap and that I can reach out to and say, hey, I'm starting this project. You know that I am someone who both like keeps my word and also gets shit done. So like, would you be interested in investing in this project? And that excites me, right? You want to find something that ultimately makes your wheels turn and like creates that electrical current that you can sort of feel, because again, it will make you so much more successful and so much more efficient in the work that you do. It'll also make you better at that thing, and the better and better that you become against the competition, like the more you'll be able to charge, just the better your business will ultimately be. I'm really excited to continue sharing everything that I've learned operating my consulting business. And if you're interested in following along both with my journey and also if you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate, if you followed me. I don't know, I'm new to YouTube, so I don't know exactly how this works. But yeah, I'm just excited about the start of something new. And I really hope that this channel can become a resource for helping people. Helping people do what? I'm not exactly sure. Probably make money, but otherwise just accomplish something that's meaningful to them.